So, hello. So, real quick, I'm not going to make a long video today. It's going to be pretty short today, short and sweet. If you want to look through my other videos to kind of piece everything together, I'll let you. I don't feel like making a video that's going to explain everything though. But let me tell you how the universe works physically, okay? So, the fundamental level of the universe is the photon, okay? Which is kind of in an infinite torus, okay? So you have dark matter, dark energy pushing out, dark energy pulling in, okay? This is dark energy, dark matter. This is dark energy, dark matter. This is dark energy, dark matter, okay? So you get rid of this, and that's what we call the infinite torus, okay? You get rid of the inner part of it. What do you have? Well, you have the fundamental particle, which is the photon, and antiphoton, okay? Surrounded by the Higgs, okay? So this is the electromagnetic spectrum, okay? You have X-rays, microwaves, infrared, light, ultraviolet, or no, it's not, it's radio waves, microwaves, infrared, light, ultraviolet, X-ray, and gamma waves, okay? Now, in the beginning of the spectrum, you have magnetic waves, also known as love waves, that oscillate at 10 to the 0, which is once, okay? And they can also oscillate at infinity, okay? They go all the way up the spectrum, all the way from 0 up to infinity, okay? Now on the other side of the spectrum, you have gravity waves, also known as entropy waves, which oscillate at 10 to the 0 and 10 to infinity, okay? So, within existence, the string is going every which direction, okay? It's the photons, which are getting infinitely larger and infinitely smaller, are traveling every which direction, okay? So, magnetic waves, okay, think about this as like, for instance, the sun, okay? So the inner aspect of this is the sun. The outer aspect is basically, you could classify it as the horizon of the sun or the horizon of the corona, okay? So within that, basically the Higgs, which is the very outer edge of the black, is basically, it has magnetic waves that are pushing out from the center, okay? And then on the edge, where the black is, you have entropy waves, which are basically pulling everything in, okay? And what are entropy waves? Well, outer space. That's all outer space is entropy waves. Hence, magnetic waves 10 to the 0 to infinity, okay? So you can consider this 0, this infinity, and you can consider this infinity, and outside of it is 0, or vice versa, okay? But it's basically just basically magnetic and gravity waves, love and entropy, infinitely consuming each other. like the yin and the yang, okay? We are the yin and the yang, okay? That live within the rainbow that separates them both, okay? So you could think of this as a magnetic wave. You could think of this as an entropy wave, okay? And within those, you know, it's just like people, you know, you have good people in the world, you know, I mean, I don't want to classify anybody as a bad person, but you have people that do good things in the world that also have a little bit of bad in them. And you have people that do bad things in the world that also have a little bit of good in them, okay? That's the yin and the yang. And we live within the rainbow that separates them both, okay? So, that's the easiest way that I can explain it, okay? So, let's take you for example, okay? You are basically a collection of waves, okay? Magnetic and entropy waves, okay? You are a collection of all those waves. You are a collection of infinite photons, antiphotons, and the Higgs that holds them within, okay? You're basically looking at you from a fundamental level. You're just basically a infinite series of spheres, okay? Getting infinitely smaller and infinitely larger, okay? So you can think of you is basically, okay, so let's put it like this. So you have a black hole, which is antiphotons. You have a proton, which is photons. You have, and they're both basically antiphotons, Higgs, photons, Higgs, as well as neutrons, which are all three. Okay? So you're basically just a conglomeration of antiphotons, photons, and Higgs. Okay? So, within you is magnetic waves pushing everything out. Okay? Hence why you can see me right now. Hence why you can hear me right now. Hence why you're seeing these radio waves. Hence why this light is hitting me, why this air is able to go into my lungs, why I'm able to drink that drink. You know what I mean? So you have magnetic waves until you get to the horizon, which is gravity and entropy waves, okay? Pulling, basically consuming all the magnetic waves, okay? Because black and white mixed together is clear, okay? All the waves of the magnetic spectrum mixed together with black and white make clear, okay? Which is why air is clear, which is why water is clear, which is why plasma is clear, which is why seminal fluid is clear, okay? Because right now, between the space that separates you and I is infinite, okay? And I know that's hard for people to wrap their heads around, but it is. Everything in the universe is infinite. Everything within the universe is a universe. That's how you explain beyond infinity, okay? It's the universe is dilating infinitely and it's contracting infinitely. Within dark matter is basically infinite contraction and dilation of everything, okay? Within dark energy is basically just dilation of everything, expansion of everything, okay? So, magnetic waves, entropy waves, magnetic waves, okay? And then whenever you have another person, it's the same thing. Magnetic, entropy, magnetic, entropy, magnetic. Okay? You are okay, so if you look at my other videos, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But you are basically the gradiuses of space, which is the steps of space, okay? So the steps of space are getting infinitely smaller and infinitely larger, okay? They're traveling in every which direction. That's the string, okay? So the electromagnetic spectrum, you can look at it like this, but it's more or less, this should be, everything out of this should be black, and the line should actually be white, okay? Because for the most part, everything is space, okay? For the most part, there's not a lot of matter within existence. Most of it is energy and space, okay? So, that's pretty much that. Okay, so let me get into the field of time, okay? Because it's confusing for people for me to say, oh, well, you're in a different gratis from me, okay? And just talking about the gradiuses of space, you have to add in another factor because it gets confusing. So, for instance, if somebody was standing right next to me, we would be within the same field of time, okay? But even right now, with you watching this video, we're not in the same field of time. Why? Because it already happened, okay? You're basically watching something that already happened. But with the use of technology, we can do that, you know what I mean? But we're not in the same field of time, those of you that are watching this right now, okay? So, let's look at the galaxy, okay? So within the galaxy, you have the center of the galaxy, which is the black hole, which is an optical illusion, okay? If you ever tried chasing after the black hole, you would never catch it. It'd just be like trying to chase after a rainbow, okay? And then on the outside of it, you have everything else, okay? So black hole, then you have stars, planets, moons, asteroids, okay? All basically circling the black hole, okay? But they're not really circling the black hole. They're going in a torus formation, okay? With space, stars, and the planets, moons, and asteroids all equally orbiting one another, okay? So you have the black hole in the center. So if you accounted for, okay, so whenever we look at other galaxies, all we can see is within our own field of time, okay? Let me make sure this video is still rolling. Yeah. Okay. So we can only see within our own field of time, okay, whenever we look at other galaxies, okay? If we could see within all time, which wouldn't be possible because nothing would be able to exist if we could, we would see basically this. Okay? You would see stars, space, planets, moons, asteroids, all basically orbiting each other at the same time, okay? So it basically just look like what? A big sphere, right? Or a big egg, okay? So where was I going with this? Yeah, but it basically works the same way as what I was telling you before about you have within the solar systems, here's a star, planet, moons, okay? Within the solar systems, you basically have the same thing happening, okay, is what's happening as I explained a while ago, okay? So outside of the sun, you have entropy waves. Outside of the Earth, you have entropy waves. Planets, moons, asteroids, you have entropy waves, okay? Basically space that's consuming all the magnetic and love waves, okay? Gravity waves, okay? Consuming all the magnetic and love waves, okay? So I'm getting a little bit lost. So with that, I'm gonna have to think about this for a second. Okay, so got my train of thought back. Okay, so if you could basically see everything going on within this, okay, it would look like a big sphere or a big egg, most likely a big egg, okay? So it would work the same way, you know, outside of the egg, you have the entropy waves that are basically consuming all the magnetic waves that are being shot out, okay? So it's all beyond infinite, okay? I'll show you guys, if I can get it to work, I'll show you guys a little video of a trigonometry phase. I think it's called trigonometry phase wave, and it's sped up to, I think, 100, I think it's sped up to 200 quadrillion waves within 10 seconds or something like that. But you can basically see how life works. You know what I mean? Like how you're basically, hopefully I can get the word for you guys, how you're basically at zero, okay? Because you have infinity symbol, and then in the middle you have the Higgs, okay? So you basically go, okay, so we can count this as 0.5, this is 0.5, this is 0.5, and this is 0.5, okay? So this is basically plus 0.5, and this is negative, okay? So you basically start at 0, which is the Higgs, okay, which is U, which is what happens whenever the sperm gets into the yolk into the egg and starts eating the yolk, okay? Because that's all sperm is. It's basically getting into the yolk, the egg, because it wants to eat it, okay? That's the issue people don't understand, is the sperm is actually the baby, okay? It's not the mother's egg. The mother's egg is just basically food for the sperm, okay? Hence, look at us, the way we are. Think of a sperm, okay? It's always started out of sperm, okay? So you have the Higgs, which you're at 0. And then all of a sudden, inflation, your photons start to shoot out every which direction, okay? Goes around here, goes all the way up to 1. And then you're gone, and then you're back. You're gone, you're back. Okay, and that's all it does, and that's what that trigonometry phase is going to show you. Okay, it's pretty interesting to watch, but it's basically just applying basically the waves, how all the waves work related to the electromagnetic spectrum. Okay, and you'll basically find, if you watch my other videos, you'll find that photons are the same thing as photons are basically the same thing as protons. Black holes are the same thing as electrons, and neutrons are the same thing as planets, moons, and asteroids. Okay, they're all the same thing. Whenever you look at the gradiuses here, going infinitely in, getting infinitely smaller and infinitely larger, you start to see that they're all the same thing. It's just on different levels, okay? All the basically all the elementary particles, all the subatomic particles, all the stars, planets, moons, asteroids, black holes, they're all the same thing, okay? Just different sizes, all right? So let's go back to you again. Okay, so like I said before, electrons, protons, neutrons are the same thing as black holes, stars, planets, moons, asteroids, okay? So, but just different levels. So what are you? Well, you're a congregation of stars, black holes, planets, moons, and asteroids, okay? It's just within you, they're on a smaller level, okay? It's like I was saying before, everything within the universe is a universe, okay? And we live in the multiverse, which is existence, okay? So if you're a conglomeration of stars, black holes, planets, moons, asteroids, well, what does that make you? Well, that makes you a black hole. And you might ask, how am I a black hole, Stephen? Well, think about it. All the information around you, you absorb. Whether it's watching web videos, TV, movies, talking to people, looking at things, eating food, dancing, you're absorbing information, okay? Which is light, okay? So, which is sound, which is touch, which is all the different senses, okay? So you are a black hole, as well as you are also a conglomeration of stars. So what does that make you? Well, the light. You are the light, okay? I saw the light, I saw the light. Well, you're seeing the light and you're it, okay? And you're also a conglomeration of neutrons, is what you can touch. So, body heat is basically due to what? The stars, the protons, okay? That's what you can see as well. What does the sun do? It shines, right? It allows us to be able to see things. That's why people can see you, because of the stars, protons, photons, which are the same thing, okay? The neutrons, planets, moons, asteroids, are what you can actually touch, okay? And the black holes and electrons are what holds you together, okay? So you have magnetic waves, magnetic and love waves, entropy and gravity waves, magnetic and love waves. And then every time you have something else that's got mass, not even anything else that has mass necessarily, because the space that separates us right now is actually a conglomeration as well of photons, antiphotons, and the Higgs, okay? The space that separates us, that's why it's clear. That's why we can see the way that we do, because it's basically the entire electromagnetic spectrum, and it's just the entire electromagnetic spectrum, which goes from white all the way down to black, and then from black all the way down to white, okay? Because it goes both ways. Okay? It goes both ways, all right? So that's about the simplest way I can explain things, you know? You're a black hole though. It's basically sucking in all the information around you, okay? And people might say, well, you might want to watch my other videos, but people might say, well, Stephen, how do you explain something being beyond infinite? It's not really that hard to understand, okay? Because you have basically something that has no beginning, no end, and an end and a beginning is beyond infinity, because guess what? The universe as a whole is infinite. Mass is finite, okay? But existence is infinite, okay? So what is something that's has both finite and infinite properties? Beyond infinite, okay? Yeah, so that's about it. I mean, it's just about the easiest way you can explain it. If people have any issues understanding it still, write me a message. A guy wrote me a message on Twitter the other day that kind of helped me out a little bit. Basically said, you don't know what you're talking about. So it helps me to hear that stuff, because I can see that I'm not breaking it down simply enough. It's just like Einstein said, if you can't explain it to a child, you don't know it well enough. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. And I also want to talk about, okay, so you have galaxies, okay? You have a galaxy here. You have a galaxy here. Okay. And then you have basically, okay, so whenever you go in towards the black hole, everything's going to constrict, okay? Relative to us back here, okay? Someone who's traveling into the black hole, they're going to stay pretty much the same. It's just going to be like an optical illusion. They're just going to keep going and going and going and going and saying, huh, shouldn't that black hole have been here like 2 years ago? You know, but no, we just keep on seeing more stars and more galaxies through our telescopes. Well, That's because you're traveling in to the center of the galaxy, which is like traveling in to the center of existence. Okay? So with that dilation, it looks kind of like this. Okay. Okay. So, what does that kind of look like to you? Looks kind of like spider webs, right? Right. So then you get rid of the outer edge. And you connect them. Okay, but anyway. It just looks like a giant web, right? Well, that's basically all it is, okay? Because it's connecting the web, which is the fabric of existence. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, you know? I mean, you can consider both an antiphoton and a photon both dark energy and dark matter, okay? Because they're both the same thing. They just work opposite ways, okay? Because an antiphoton is full of gravity and entropy waves, and a photon is full of magnetic love waves, okay? So they just work the opposite direction, okay? But everything that makes up existence is what? The antiphoton, the photon, the antiphoton, and the photons, okay? Which are dark energy, dark matter, dark energy, dark matter, dark energy, dark matter, dark energy, dark matter, okay? So, look at it like this, okay? So, what is -1 plus 1? 0. What is -1 minus -1? Well, you put them both together, that makes a +1 equals 0. What is -1 times 1? Equals -1. What is 1 times -1? Equals -1. What is -1 times -1? Equals 1. Okay? So, make sure I have all those. And then what is 1 times 1? Equals 1. Okay? So that's basically the way that you can think of it. -1 is kind of like dark energy. 1 is dark matter. Put them together, -1. Okay? You have dark matter times dark matter equals 1. Okay? Dark energy times dark energy equals 1, which is dark matter and dark energy. Okay? So, that's all it is. It's basically just a series of spheres getting infinitely smaller and infinitely larger. Okay? That's all it is. There's no beginning, there's no end. the Big Bang did occur. It occurred when your parents had sex and you were inseminated, okay? Because the sperm seeks out the egg, it grabs onto that egg, starts eating it, gets into it, and then eggs, okay? No other sperm can get into there after that. No matter how hard they try, because eggs, okay? God, everything, existence, okay? But yeah, that's all you are. Just a conglomeration of photons, antiphotons, and Higgs. That's it. That's all you are. And it's all beyond infinite, okay? It's all beyond infinite. You might say, if it's all beyond infinite, how is the speed of light measured at, 300 million meters per second or something like that? Well, because whenever light leaves the photon, which is basically just conglomeration of photons and antiphotons, whenever the light leaves the photon, okay? But whenever it leaves the photon, yeah, it's traveling at the speed of light, but it speeds up. And I don't know how it works exactly with the speed of light, how quickly it speeds up. It might relatively go the speed of light until it gets to you, and then infinity, okay? Because it's absorbed by you. All you're doing is absorbing, reflecting, and emitting photons and antiphotons contained within the Higgs, okay? And it's a really beautiful thing. Everything that happens is so beautiful, okay? And I want you to try to keep that in mind. So that's pretty much it for today. That's about all I'm going to explain. That's broken down pretty well. But once again, like I said, if you guys have any issues with it, let me know. But going all the way down the electromagnetic spectrum, you have, starting out, you have magnetic and love waves, which are 1. Okay, which oscillate at 10 to the 0, which are 1, going all the way down to gravity and entropy waves, which oscillate at 10 to infinity, which can also be considered 10 to the 0, because they're going back and forth nonstop, okay? Because 0 and infinity are basically the same thing. It's just a big loop, okay? But yeah, so within the photon you have magnetic waves pushing everything out. On the edge of the photon where the black is, you have entropy waves pulling everything in, consuming all the magnetic waves and love waves, entropy and gravity waves, consuming it all, okay? But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just photons, antiphotons, spinning every which direction, oscillating longitudinally, transversely, every which direction, oscillating at different frequencies. That's all it is. That's all existence is. Following the gravities of space, okay? Within different fields of time. Okay? So, yeah, like this chair right now and me, we're in the same field of time. But whenever you're watching this, we're still going to be in the same field of time. But relative to you watching this, we're not. Okay? We're going to be in the past. Okay? So, everything in the universe is basically infinitely expanding. Within dark matter, it's both infinitely expanding and infinitely contracting, okay? Within dark energy, it's pretty much just infinitely expanding, okay? So, because whenever you look out in space, what do you see? It's just dark, right? The only thing you can see are the stars. Well, because the stars are sending out photons at you, which are contracting, okay? They're getting smaller, okay? Yeah, so I mean, the photons out in space are basically infinitely expanding, because whenever you get close to the star, you can see every which direction around it, okay? Because it's shooting out antiphotons and photons every which direction, okay? But whenever you get further away from it, it gets smaller. It gets to the point where you might get to the point where you can't even see it anymore, okay? And that's because the photons are also contracting. They're not just expanding and dilating, they're also contracting, okay? So yeah, I mean, if you guys have any issues, if you don't understand this stuff, let me know. Tell me in the comments. That's pretty much it, though. I'm trying to break it down as much as I can so everybody can understand. It. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Please donate to my GoFundMe, Magnitus Toys, or go to my website and buy one of my toys. They can easily teach you how the universe works, you know, just using the simple toy and magnetics. So, or please refer to my other videos if you're confused on anything, and I think that'll help out. So, all right, thank you. Okay, so these are some photos. My aunt has chickens, and she basically posted a picture of the eggs getting progressively smaller. From the top picture, you can see they're getting bigger to smaller, and then bottom picture, they're getting smaller to bigger again. So this is still just theoretical, but that might be the way that it works, even with females having offspring. Is basically they just get the eggs get progressively bigger and progressively smaller, and they just kind of go back and forth. But that's still theoretical, but this is the kind of evidence that I have for that. So, okay. Okay, so right here, you can basically see that recently they took a picture of a massive galaxy cluster from the Sea Eagle simulation, okay, providing a view of a region comparable to one where the filaments have been detected. Okay, so kind of like they're saying, like, these are like the filaments of space, okay? So if you refer to my diagram earlier of the black holes within the galaxies and connecting them, it looks like kind of like a bunch of spider webs. Well, this is kind of like how it looks whenever you look at it with this technology. Okay, so it's pretty much just the same thing. Okay. Okay, so let me show you guys. This is a cool little app, how to use this and to show you how life basically works. Okay, so this is going at, I can't remember how fast this video goes, but alright, so here we go. You'll notice it gets a 0, photons slow down, speed back up again. And as you can see, this is negative 100 quadrillion to positive 100 quadrillion. Okay? And it goes all the way from 0 all the way to infinity and back around to 0, and then starts over again. Okay? Fast, 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 slow, 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 stop, go again. Okay? And that's basically how all of life works, okay? It's all basically beyond infinite, okay?